Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, depending on where you are in this great nation or around the planet, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks so much for joining us. Okay, why don't we do this? I know that you guys and gals are anxious to get started, so Doris, why don't we start off with a little bit of a thank you? What do you think?
Yes, thank you so much for all of you in the audience being here with us today. Thank you to our dear friends at Jasper Engines and Transmissions for sponsoring this webinar. We are so grateful for you and all that you do for the industry. We're here today to cover our module number 2 for 3 easy steps to find and hire the superstars, and superstar techs and advisors, of course.
Yeah, we sure are. And to the good people at Jasper, as Doris had just mentioned, to all of you, I should say, this is offered exclusively to you as a Jasper customer. So it's one of the many more benefits that you're receiving by having a relationship with the really outstanding people at Jasper. So to Doris's point, I agree 1,000%. Thank you very much to the good people at Jasper for everything that you do for the industry.
Definitely.
Okay, who we are, my name. For those of you that are new to us, we know all of you weren't necessarily with us last week, but for those of you that are new to us, my name is Bob Cooper. I'm the president of Elite, and I'm very familiar with all the content that we're going to be sharing with you. I've lived in this world for my entire life, and I'm joined by Doris, a dear friend of mine that also works with us.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Doris Barnes. I'm Elite's Director of Customer Relations, and I get to do a lot of things here with Elite, which every single one of them is an honor. Most importantly, we get to help a lot of people, so I really enjoy what I get to do.
Yeah, and Doris, I'm sorry, go ahead, Doris.
Oh, no, I'm done.
Doris is also a lady that really understands this content, so everything that we're going to be sharing with you, she lives and breathes it, she understands it probably better than 99% of the shop owners that are out there. So you need to listen to this lady and the information that she shares with you. So this is who we are as individuals. Oops, I'm going the wrong way. How about this one, Doris?
A little bit more about our company and what matters most to us. It says here, we are a company that lives by the principle of never putting money ahead of people. This is absolutely key to our culture here at Elite.
Yeah, this is who we are. And for those of you that are new to us, we don't want to bore you to death, those of you that were with us last week, but this is what we do. We help guys and gals just like you build more successful businesses while having a really great impact, a really positive impact on your employees, all of your customers, and your communities as well. So this is us. This is what we do.
So our course objective is for today and all the other modules we shared with you yesterday or last week and next week to share a number of proven strategies that you can use immediately to find and hire the industry superstars.
I think you're going to really enjoy it too, guys and gals. Now, look, as you know, last week, one of the things that we covered for those of you that were with us is how to put together a really great incentive program, compensation incentive program that's not only going to help you attract the rock stars, but help keep them in your company as well. So what are we going to do this week? Well, today what Doris and I are going to cover are everything that you see up on the screen. We're going to share some of the best kept secrets that our top clients use to really find and hire these rock stars. We're going to show you how to connect with them once you identify who they are. And lastly, and most importantly, we're going to show you how easy it is to keep that pipeline filled with the absolute best techs and advisors that are in the industry. So this is what we're going to do today.
And then next week, we're going to cover how to use the Elite method to interview like a seasoned pro and impress the applicants. You guys are going to love that content. It's really good stuff. Then we're going to cover how to use today's technology for online assessments to learn things about people that you can't learn otherwise. So stay tuned for that. Actually, we've got some wonderful resources to share there. And third, how to perform reference checks in a way that will provide you with the valuable information you need to make the right hiring decisions. You know, you get the wrong people in your company, it's detrimental, right? So we'll help you with that next week.
Yeah, you bet. You're really going to enjoy it for sure. So let's talk about how you can best benefit. Just like last week, one of the things that we do is do everything that you can do to make sure that you're interrupted. Take good notes. This is going to be recorded, but still it's in your best interest to take good notes. Mark your calendar for the one remaining session. We're going to have the same date, same time, I should say day of the week, same time next week. And during the session, when you have questions, simply type them in, not the chat field, but in the question panel. You'll find a question panel over there to the right. If you type those in, we'll take as much time as we can to answer as many questions as we can that you submit to us during that session. So if you guys and gals are ready to go, Doris, all that they need to do is click the little button, right? Orange button, and hide that panel. What do you think?
Absolutely. And hey, really quick, just a message to all of you who were with us last week. You threw out some questions at us, and I know Miss Sarah Rigby replied to all of you saying I would be reaching out to you to answer those. So hang tight for that. I know you're all still waiting on some of those to be answered. We're going to answer a few of them today, and you'll still be hearing from me on those. So how to best benefit. Click this small orange button to hide your control panel. That's that little arrow. You should see it on the right. If that panel's in the way of any of the verbiage, just go ahead and click it and you're ready to go. So with that said, let's start.
Okay, we're off to the races, guys. So now we're going to dig into Module 2 and some of the things you need to do. Doris and I put a lot of thought into this, and we thought the best place to start with each and every one of you is putting first things first. Some of the rules, some of the principles are like gravity that don't change that you need to consider when it comes to recruiting. So we're going to take a quick look at those, all right? Number one, you need to be recruiting 24/7. If you don't do that, guys and gals, as you know, instead of hiring the best, you're going to wind up hiring the best of whoever is available at the time. So if you're always recruiting and if you always got a pipeline filled with stars, then you're going to be hiring the best of the best. If you don't do that, and oh my gosh, I lost the tech, I don't have anybody in the pipeline, I got to get a tech, the guy or gal that you're going to hire to fill that spot is going to be the best person, no question about it, that's available at that particular moment, but might not be the very best person that you're looking for. So you need to be recruiting 24/7. We're going to show you how easy it is to do that as well. So that's rule number one for us.
Number two, that always remember the superstars are more than likely working, and they're working at the best shops. And dealerships, of course. So keep this in mind. You've got to know where to look. We're going to spend some time in a moment with you on this.
Yeah, rarely are these guys unemployed, huh, Doris?
They're not. They're good at what they do. So we need to know how and where to find a superstar.
Yeah, there you go. There, well said, well said. And ladies and gentlemen, one of the other things that's a mantra that we use at Elite, and it says, people go to work for people, not for companies. I don't care how good your company is. I don't care what the reputation of your organization is like. It's no different than us here at Elite. It's not about companies or organizations. It's about people. So we need to get you as an individual, as a shop owner, as a manager, whatever role that you play with your company, we need to connect you with people because it's you. You're the person that they're going to decide to go and join hands with and work with, far more so than your company. And number four, hiring the superstars is a process, not an event. This is not just as simple as a short couple interviews that you're going to do, and there's quite a courtship process that you're going to carry the right candidate through. So more to come on this, but always keep these 4 rules in mind when you're recruiting. Yeah, you bet. Now there's one other that's a big one, and I know that we have a limited amount of time, but you know, Doris and I both agree, if we don't put this one on the table, and if we don't share it with you, you're going to always wonder as to what the right answer is to it. And it's this one. Take a look at this if you could. If I could have your attention just for a minute. It says, it's perfectly okay to reach out to stars who are currently employed because people are not property. Now, where does that come from? That actually comes from Abraham Lincoln, not me. That comes from the Proclamation of Emancipation in 1863 when the great president said, look, you can't own people. So that means if there's a guy or gal working at a shop in your town somewhere, he's not owned by that shop owner. That person has a free will. They can go any place that they would like to go to. So this argument that I've heard ever since I first got in the industry that says it's not right to steal employees. Well, before we go any further, you can't steal employees because they're not chattel. They're not owned by anybody. They're free will. So let's make sure that we don't use that word about stealing employees. Number 2, the second question then is if you pull that word out, is it appropriate to try to recruit somebody that is currently employed at another shop? Well, the short answer to that is in almost every case, it is. Are there exceptions? Sure, there are exceptions. If you know that that employee is working at a shop, and no matter what you do or how you do it, you can't provide him or her with a better opportunity than they currently have at the shop that they're at, then you know what? They need to stay at the place that they're at, and they need to grow as much as they can at that shop. This is a cardinal rule that I've lived by over the years. Even when I owned auto repair businesses, it was the same thing. If somebody came to me and if they were looking for a job and if I knew that they were working with a real rock and roll owner, I did everything in my power to encourage them to stay working with that person. On the other hand, if that's not the case, then they're fair game and we go after them. Now, I'm going to tell you a real quick story. I know that we have a limited amount of time, but there's a good message here. I had done a recruiting seminar, many of these seminars, but I did one maybe 20 years ago. And there was a young guy in the audience. He loved the ideas. He went out. He called me about a week later and said, you'll never believe it. You'll never believe it. He said, I hired a rock star. I did everything that you said to do, and I hired a rock star. He says, that's great news. He says, well, yeah, but there's some bad news. And I says, ooh, what's that? He says, well, the bad news is the person that I hired works for my father-in-law that owns an auto repair shop on the other part of the town. And I thought, oh, well, such as like. Now I'm going to fast forward. It's maybe a year or 2 years later. I'm telling you a true story. A year or 2 years later, I was doing a seminar for one of the oil companies, with all the service stations across America. I was doing a seminar for one of these oil companies, and all these operators were in the room, and I was telling them how to recruit, much like Doris and I are telling you today. And this one guy stood up in the audience, and he looked at me, and you could hear a pin drop. He pointed his finger at me, and he said, you're the guy that taught my son-in-law how to take my employees away from me. You could hear a pin drop, but I'm so passionate in my beliefs and the principles that we live by at Elite, and at that time as well, I stood there, and I thought, let's have a conversation. I didn't have to say a word, because you know what happened? He went on and he continued to say this. He says, you know what? You have no idea how upset I was at that time when my son-in-law took my employees. But then I realized it wasn't my son-in-law's fault. It was my fault. If I would have done a better job of taking care of my employees, then nobody in the world would have been able to take them away from me. So indirectly, you taught me a very valuable lesson, and I'd like to thank you for that. So where I thought a guy was going to try to hand me my head, it turned around to be a compliment, a backhanded compliment. The fact of the matter is, it's like any relationship that you have with anybody in life, like a gal or a guy in your life, right, Doris?
Yeah, that's right. It is. I mean, you've got to work to continue to earn their affection if it's a personal relationship, their trust, and, make sure that they have a future working with your company and feel good about the leadership and everything else going on. So, yeah, it is. It's a leadership responsibility to keep your people and keep them happy.
There it is. And we know that this is a conversation that we can have for hours, but the fact of the matter is, all global companies, all larger companies, you know what they do? They have headhunters. They have recruiters. They find the best of the best of the best of the best, and they go out and they give them offers, and they say, look, this is who we are, and this is how we can help you in making your dreams come true. It's rule number 5 for us. Okay, so now let's talk about some of the tactical things you could do right now. We know that in some cases, right now, let's say you don't have somebody in the pipeline. Let's say right now you need a technician, you want them right now. Doris, what about this one? Can you share some ideas on this with them?
Don't be afraid to make an investment in your future. This is no different than investing marketing dollars. Consider making an offer to your team members, your suppliers, your industry associates that is really hard to refuse. We hear stories about business owners, shop owners saying, well, I put it out there that I get a $500 if they referred somebody and I hired them as a tech or an advisor. You know what? That's not a substantial enough amount to really cause people to be incentivized, to be honest, want to give of their time and energy and efforts to do this for your organization. You all know that hiring the wrong person is extremely costly to your company, not just in a dollars and cents way for carrying them through everything up front, to try to recruit them, bring them on board, et cetera, but if it's the wrong person, you know what that can do to morale and the team spirit and everything else in your company. So don't make this mistake. Be proud to offer a really good incentive. What's wrong with $4,000? Before you choke on that number, right? The cost, I believe what it is, like $7,000 or $8,000 is like the average cost of hiring the wrong person and going through all of that up front. So if you were to say to your associates, hey, here's the deal, $4,000 is up for grabs. If you refer somebody to me that I hire, you'll get $2,000 upon hire. And if they're still with me 90 days later, you'll get another $2,000. What's wrong with that? Now you have a chance to vet the person. You get to make sure that they're a fit. And you get people really wanting to go out there and sing your song and get somebody to you. So this is a really smart move to make.
Yeah,
I would be doing it.
This is huge. The guys and gals like Doris says, thank you, Doris. This is huge. Don't miss this one. I get frustrated in the great state of California. I don't know about your state, but in the great state of California, every time the lottery is 10, 20, 30, 50 million, nothing happens. But when it gets to like 200 million, then all of a sudden there's lines around every liquor store. And it's like I tell my wife, Karen, I say, it's like the people here in California saying, 20 million is chump change. I'm not going to get off on my rear end and buy a ticket if it's only going to be $50 million.
What is that?
But now it's real money, honey. It's 200 million. So it's no different with your guys or gals. And if you know you got a technician that's looking to buy a boat, and if you know that that boat is a $4,000 boat, as an example, then look how easy it would be to say, hey, you want to get that boat in your garage within the next month? Here's how you can do it. So if you're taxing, if the people in your industry know that you're making them a really great offer, and if they could tie that economics to something that's really incentivizing them, going on a vacation or buying a boat or whatever it is, you're going to get the leads that you're looking for. And you don't have to hire any of them, right, Doris?
Don't have to hire any of them, yeah. But that people will be coming to you.
Don't miss this one, guys. Take this ball and run with it. Don't choke on the number. You take the $4,000. If you're going to hire a tech, it's $64,000 a year. Now, if you add $4,000, now it's $68,000. I'll guarantee you, if you knew that was the $68,000 tech, you'd hire him in a minute. So all that we're doing is asking you to take this money and just consider it amortized in the course of the employment of the tech that's going to be with you or the advisor that's there.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it.
This works. This works. Now let's talk about how you can connect with these guys and gals that are out there, the rock stars that are out there. Here's a great one, Doris. What do you think about this one, huh?
I love this one. Tip number 1, go where the stars go. Find yourself where they are. For example, in the automotive communities in your world, where do they go for lunch? Go there. Introduce yourself to the techs and advisors. Anybody sitting there in a uniform that looks like they work for an automotive facility, and let them know, hey, my name is Doris Barnes, and I own a shop called Elite Automotive here in the community, and you know what? We're looking for some real superstars. If you know anybody, even if they're administrative with these companies, they know people that they could refer to you. Hey, if you know anybody who's looking for a really great opportunity, I'd be honored if you'd have them give me a call. Thanks so much. Hope you have a great lunch. I mean, it's just that simple. Nothing hard about that. This is what I would be doing if I were each and every one of you.
Yeah, well said, Doris. Well said. The one thing that we do know about the rock stars is they all have to eat. And that means if you go to the different restaurants, like Doris says, in the areas where they work, I mean, you can't lose by doing this. I mean, it's brand exposure. You cannot lose by doing this at all. Here's another one that we have up here. You're wondering what that little icon is about, huh? What you need to do is get out your calendar and get on everybody's mailing list that provides technical training courses. It doesn't matter what company they are or what the courses are. You need to know what those courses are. And then when you identified all those courses, then what you need to do is make sure that you have your techs, as an example, technical courses. You need to make sure that your techs are attending those courses, and they need to be incentivized. Here we go again with that reward, right, Doris, at $4,000.
Yes.
They need to know, hey, take your business cards with you, and if you see somebody in that course that sounds like they're asking great questions, that they seem to have the drive, that they seem to be really bright, hand them one of your business cards and let them know that we're always looking for rock stars. Now, if you do this, now the tech could earn up $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, whatever it is, the incentive that you're offering. And your tech, your tech is going to be picky because your tech is going to want to make sure that anybody they recommend to you, right?
You're going to have to work with them.
It's going to have to work with them, right? Yeah. So this is a great one. Go to where the stars go. They're going to have to eat, go to where they eat, and they're going to go into training. You know that the stars are going to go for training, so be at all those training events in one way or another. Yeah. So that's tip number 1. Here's another one that we're going to share with you. How about this one, Doris?
Utilize social media, tip number 2. Reach the stars to their family and friends. Get your brand out there on Facebook, on Instagram, the different ways that you are going to reach your community. This is great. Post ads that you're recruiting. Make sure those ads are extremely appealing. We'll give you some ideas on that in a moment here. But in addition, you may even consider doing something like starting a forum on Facebook. Somebody that we know that works with us here at Elite, one of our clients, decided what he was going to do was start a forum, get all the techs talking on this forum from all over in the community and other communities, et cetera, et cetera. It was really good content and chatter for them. Boy, this could be a really great way to meet some of the superstar techs and advisors. I'm telling you that. If you do start a forum or some sort of a group like that, be wary that you do have to manage that, and you got to do a pretty darn good job of managing it. So consider that before you jump into the water there.
Great point, Doris. Yeah, great observation, Doris. So don't forget, guys, and gals, like Doris says so well, social media, it's integrated in every part of our lives. So it's something that you need to do. Tip number 3, use the radio. Now, look, I got to give you a little bit of backstory here because it's important you understand where this came from. See all these gray hairs that I have? They all came from different places. Every one of them actually has a story. And one of the things that's kept me awake at night for decades is how do you connect with a star that is already working? He's got his head underneath the hood of a car. He goes home at night. He plays baseball or whatever. He is not looking for a job. How do you connect with that guy? And then it dawned on me in the middle of the night, I'm telling you the truth. I actually got up, I wrote it down on a legal pad that I keep next to my bed. The following morning, I woke up and I contacted one of our coaches that owns an amazing repair business here in San Diego, actually a group of them. And I said, I need your help. I know that you're a doer. I know that you'll pull the trigger on this. I have an idea on how we could recruit and really reach these rock stars that we're looking for in a very unique way. He was very open to it, as he is to everything that we do. He took the ball. He ran with it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my friend Doris on the spot and have her do the radio commercial for you so you can listen to it. You ready for that, Doris?
Great.
And all that I ask you to do is imagine this. Imagine you're driving down the road. You're on the way to work in the morning or on the way home, and you got your radio on. Now, here's the takeaway. You're going to reach the rock star by going through his family and friends. So what I'm going to imagine that you do, or ask that you do, imagine that you're a spouse of a rock star, or you're a cousin of a rock star, or you're a personal friend of a rock star, but you're not a tech, you're not an advisor, and you hear an ad that goes like this. You ready, Doris?
I'm ready.
Okay, now sit back, relax, and you hear this radio ad when you're driving to work.
Hello, my name is Doris Barnes, owner of Elite Automotive here in San Diego, California. We are a growing company, and we are looking for some superstar technicians to join our team. If you are an ASE Master Certified Technician, if you are very gifted at what you do, if you have impeccable references, and if you live by a principle that you'll never put money ahead of people, then I would be honored to personally speak with you. Please give me a call at 800-204-3548 or reach out to us over the web at www.eliteautomotive.com.
Now look, I know what's going through your mind right now, right? You're driving down the street and you're Larry Smith and you got a friend that heard that. Doris, what do you think the first thought is going to be that's going to go through most people's mind when they hear that?
Well, if it were me, I'd say, I need a new shop. I'm going to check those guys out. They seem to be doing a lot of the right things. And they're hiring some really remarkable people. Marketing 101, this is the other benefit to this, and it has worked brilliantly for the coach that ran with this and other people that have taken this and done this in our communities. Of course, the other side of that is the recruiting benefit, and you can cycle this. You're obviously not going to constantly run it, but you run it in cycles, and boy, has this been a winner for recruiting, but in addition, it's a brilliant way to market your brand.
Yeah, because customers now are going to hear that, like Doris said, they're going to go, oh, boy, that sounds like they have the principles that I'm looking for. Wow, they're talking about they're the kind of people that I would like to do business with. You know, gee, I'm not an auto repair. He said all of a sudden people were coming in and lining up to come into the service center as customers. And he said, look, you know, I'm not a technician, but I heard your commercial and I thought you were the guy that I wanted to see, which is really what a great offshoot to that. We weren't expecting that, but what a great offshoot that was. But now when the moms and dads and brothers and sisters of the techs hear this, they're going to now start building your brand. They're going to say, hey, Larry, have you ever heard of this company? This is one that you might want to look into. So when you get this recording back of this, play it again. Listen to it. Draft your own message. Personalize it. Don't hesitate. Don't get analysis paralysis. Run with it. This is going to put you first on the map.
That's right.
You're going to love this. You're going to absolutely love this.
All right, okay. Tip number 4.
Ooh, here's a big one too, Doris. And it says reach out to the stars by calling them in the evening. So here's the deal, and I know that we have a limited amount of time here, but this is how it works. Let's say, for an example, I'm looking for an advisor. And let's say Doris works at a top shop on the other side of San Diego, and I've heard remarkable things about her. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do everything that I can do to get a message to her that I would love to chat with her just for a quick minute. What my intent is to get her cell number. I don't want to bother her at work. That's not my DNA. That's not the right thing to do. That would not pass the grandmother's test. But I will call her on her personal time. I would like to speak with her then. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give her a call in the evening. And it's going to go, the call is going to sound much like this. You ready, Doris?
Sure.
Okay. Hey, good afternoon. Is this Doris?
Yeah, this is Doris.
Hey, Doris. My name is Bob Cooper, and I'm president of Elite Worldwide. Elite Worldwide, I'll take that from the top again. I'm president of Elite. See how that's in my head, guys and girls? Hey, Doris, this is Bob Cooper. I'm president. I'm the owner of Elite Auto Repair here in San Diego. Do you have just a moment?
Yeah, sure. I can talk for a moment.
Okay, well, thanks, Doris. I know that this is an unexpected call. By chance, are you familiar with our company at all?
I passed you guys. I think you're on my way to work.
Oh, well, possibly. We're over on Elm Street. But, I'm not calling you because of our company. The reason that I'm calling you is it seems like every time I have conversations about really remarkable people in this industry, it seems like there are certain names that keep popping up. And actually yours is one of them. Your name came up today in another conversation. It was with Jim Perino, our salesperson that comes in here from our local parts store. Do you know Jim by chance?
Oh, yeah. No, I've known Jim for a long time. Yeah, for probably, 5, 6 years.
Oh, my God. Now, how did you meet him? Through the business? Through the industry?
Yeah. He's been coming in, on a regular basis, and just has a wonderful personality, so we connected that way. But we always chat when he comes into the show.
Oh, my gosh. Well, your name came up in another conversation as well, and it was with Joe McDonald from Jasper.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. Wow. Yeah. I feel so special.
Yeah, small world for sure, huh? Small world for sure. But you see, Doris, it seems like every time I turn around, anytime there's conversation about the really gifted advisors and the really gifted technicians, it seems like certain names keep popping up. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to stop what I'm doing. I'm going to give you a call and let you know. Doris, I would be honored. I would really be honored if I were to be able to meet you just for a few minutes. I would love to have you join me for coffee sometime. I mean, when you take lunch, maybe at work, we could get together and have just a quick cup of coffee, or possibly in the morning on your way to work. I would actually love to meet somebody with your reputation. I would love to meet, even if it's for a few minutes.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, we could do coffee. That works for me. I'm a big coffee drinker anyways. I'd stop on the way to work and just...
There you go, guys. We're off to the races now. Now we're starting that relationship that Doris was talking about earlier. Remember? She said it's a process. It's not an event. It's like asking a gal out on a date. It's no different. This is a process. I just want people go to work with people, not with companies. That's all that we're doing.
Yes, and you guys, at the end of this, let's say you meet, you have coffee, you build a relationship, you look for a way to connect with that person, even if they're not interested at the time. You know what? You've got a relationship with them now. Find ways to reach out to them. Hey, just calling you, Doris. Hey, thanks so. Hey, I was just curious. Did you have any updates? Did you know what's going on with the new model that they just launched, the Mercedes-Benz that they launched? Because we had one come in here, and I just thought I'd pick your brain. Do you have like a split second? So just continue that process of getting them into your world, your social environment. And when an opportunity comes up, or the moment that they're not satisfied, guess who they're going to call? You.
There you go. So you start by having them as acquaintance, and your objective is for them to become a friend. And then once they start to believe in you and feel comfortable with you, then not only are they going to be open to possibly, who knows when, maybe sooner than later, working with you, but you know what? This is a person that you could call too when you're looking for somebody else. So you could call that advisor, hey, Doris, we're looking to get a tech, and I thought, I'd give you a call. Do you know of anybody? So it's just another person in that circle of contacts that you're going to have that's going to continue to grow. Then you'll have these people in the wings for you. So don't hesitate on this. Put that phone to work. Use it. You'll love the results that you see. So that's tip number 4. And by the way, once you take them for coffee or whatever, what we're going to ask you to do is, more so than their technical skills or their ability to solve problems in the industry, we already know that they have that because they've been identified as a star. What you're looking for when you meet them for coffee or lunch or whatever it is who they are as a person. Are they courteous? Do they seem to be or appear to be the kind of a person that you would want to have working in your family, at your business every single day? Mm-hmm. So it's a great way for you to really, really better understand who they are. We're going to get more into interviewing on the next session next week, but I think you're going to really enjoy this. So that's tip number 4. Tip number 5, Doris, which is a big one.
Never forget, hiring the superstars is a courtship process that takes time. You're going to need to start with some of the things we've suggested today. Start with a phone call, perhaps, and carry them through this relationship until you get to the point where there's an opportunity. If it's a basic interview and everything else and they are showing interest, even that process, which we'll get into next week, is quite a process. And you need to take a lot of time and care and attention to make sure you get the right people in your company. So we will get into that more next week.
Awesome, Doris. Okay, then guys and gals, look, now's the time. If you have any questions, pop open that little question, not the chat feature, but the question feature at the bottom. Type in your question, and Sarah on our end will grab as many of those as she can, and she's going to provide them to us. And Doris, you had some that came in from last week, some carryovers that you said were really popular.
I did, and so what I did is I went through these, and I picked a couple that I thought everyone in the audience would really benefit from. Granted, there are a lot more that we'll have to answer, but let's start with these. Okay, so this one here says, what is your opinion on salary and hourly wage versus flat rate?
Yeah, can I take that one?
Yeah,
Take one of the other ones then? Yeah, I'll be more than happy to answer that one. There's a time and place for everything in life, and I understand that there's some roles, but let's just talk about techs and advisors. I understand that there's some rationale and a time and a place for a tech or an advisor to be on a salary. I get that. I understand if they're new, if they're in the learning mode. I get all of that. You know what? The reality, the takeaway is this. Everybody in life on this planet, everybody works on a productivity basis, regardless of what they do. That means no matter how good these techs are or no matter how productive they are, they need to be monitored for their productivity. The advisors need to be monitored for their productivity. And the guys or gals that you're looking for, the real producers, you know what? They're going to want to be compensated, not for showing up, not for breathing air, but for being productive. So the guys and gals, if you get a guy or gal that comes to wants to work with you and all that they talk about is the salary, and well, I don't need a commission, or I don't need to be on flat rate, I just need a good salary. You know, I understand that there's exceptions to every rule, but in a general sense, that might give you a little bit of a pause, because you're in the back of your mind, you have to ask yourself is, why are they so concerned about being on a productivity-based income program, compensation incentive program, where they could earn a higher income and become even more successful? So this is our philosophy. I'm not saying that there's not a time or place for salary or hourly, because there are, clearly. But in the general case, seasoned people, you need to have them on some kind. We're okay with guarantees too, but they need to be on some kind of productivity-based income.
Yep, and there are a lot of creative ways to build multifaceted comp plans that are going to incentivize the right behavior.
And you had another one, Doris?
Yep. Okay, so from last week, we had one more that we'll address. It says, in the past, we've had problems with guys on guarantees slacking off. How do we motivate them?
Yeah.
Number one, possibly you guys, the wrong people is part of that, potentially. But the other thing that you got to ask yourself before you just go, we have the wrong people, is, are you managing them properly? Everyone needs to be managed and managed well. You need to have goals in place for them, and they need to know that those goals are key to their success with the company. You need to have what we'll call minimum levels of acceptable performance in place. In other words, what is the minimum that somebody can do on a consistent basis in that position to have it work, for you to reach the goals, for it to be acceptable, just like your kids in school with grades. At what point do they come home and say, and you have a conversation with them? Is it when it drops to a B from an A or a C, right? Same kind of thing. So you need to effectively manage those goals and minimum levels of performance, and really work to bring out the best in your people. So
yeah, great answer. Great answer, Doris.
Okay, we got some.
Sarah brought in.
We
got a few minutes.
Here.
Let's see what we have here.
All right. How do you address the belief among techs that shops who constantly advertise for new techs must have a high turnover?
Yeah, that's
a good question.
Yeah, would you like to take that one, or would you like me to take that one?
Absolutely. So, great question. And the way that I would answer this would be, you should be having that conversation with your people on a regular basis. Hey, you guys, we're a growing company. Hiring the right people is a process. We're going to look to have a pipeline of people just in case we need people. As you all know, we're also growing and we have these goals to meet. And hey, I want to build relationships. And if that time comes when we have that open available spot, then you know what? I'm hoping I can convince some of those people to come work with us. And we're going to find the stars. I want to find people that are really good for all of you too, not just average folks. So I think they'll appreciate that. But you know what? It also keeps them wanting to make sure that they do a really good job for the company. So I think that that's also kind of neat in itself.
Yeah, that's a great answer, Doris. I'm certainly on board with that. Here's another one that Sarah handed us, and it says, run the ads in cycles, monthly, quarterly. What do you suggest? There's no one right answer. I believe that that's going to depend on the size of your business, your locale, the community that are in the people that are in your community. There are a lot of things that you need to consider. But like Doris had said, that if you run an ad, if you constantly run like a radio ad or so, that you're looking for superstars, there's this assumption that you have a lot of employee turnover. So you need to frame it as though we're a growing company, and you need to be able to stand behind that. So this is something you don't need to bombard the industry with, or the consumers with, or you don't need to do that. So it's not a matter of do you do this monthly or quarterly. You just need to make sure that the message is out there and the message is received. I wish that there was a magic answer. I wish there was something that would say, do it this frequently. But you'll get a feel for it. Run the radio ad, do the radio ad for a couple flights, a couple months, and then judge the results that you get out of it. Then ask yourself, well, okay, this is the kind of results that I get if I run this again. Certainly, I'm gonna assume that it's gonna be at least a quarter, if not 6 months, before you run it again. And even then, you're going to have to put a switch in it. You're gonna have to say something. We're still growing. Or we're adding on another service base, or something to legitimize it in the consuris mind, as well as the technician's mind, or the advisor's mind.
This is a real quick question, Bob. I'd love to be able to take it if we can.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, go ahead.
This question, what is your take on meeting new techs while they are working at their current shop? Is it in bad taste to approach them at their current shop while they are working? Chris, we would suggest, yes, we would probably feel the way you feel. We think it would be bad taste to actually walk into the facility during work hours and approach them. Better yet, try and figure out a way to reach them off hours. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Doris 1,000% on that. I think, you know what, if
because that's that employer's time, right?
Yeah, there you go, Doris nailed it. If you walk in and if you're on the employer's time, you're breathing his oxygen or her oxygen, you're taking up their space, you're taking the attention of their people, you're putting them at risk if there's an accident, if you slip while they're in the shop. I mean, that's all about us then as an employer, and it's not about the other employer. And that just would not pass the grandmother test to me. But it is really good. It's really fair to reach out to these people after hours. After they leave. We're certainly not recommending that you stalk them, but we are recommending that you do. Well, then again, maybe that is we're not recommending you do that, but there are certain ways you can reach out to these people. And through Facebook, there are different ways that you could contact these
absolutely true.
people.
Through social media, they're all there, okay?
Yeah, you could reach them.
Okay, so we do have another question. It's really quick.
Mm-hmm.
Is utilizing a billboard for recruiting a good idea or too much? Why not? Let's say do it.
Sure, it depends. Yeah, don't forget, when you do the billboard, though, like Doris said so well earlier, ask yourself, what are you trying to do? You're trying to not only recruit, but you're trying to send a message to the motoring public. The people that are going by that billboard are more than likely going to be driving automobiles. They're not going to be on bicycles, so they're going to be your potential customers. So make sure that message of principles is woven in there. If you live by a principle like this, we're a principle-centered company. Speak of your reviews, your Google reviews, anything you can do to make that passerby motorist really feel comfortable that you're a great shop. Doris nailed it earlier when she said it's all about brand building. You got to get your brand out into the industry. If the technicians, if the rock stars don't know you and the people that work with you, then you're going to always have a hard time recruiting them. Because if the day comes when they decide they're going to leave and go to another shop, you know what? Before they pick up the phone and go somewhere else, they're already going to nail another business before they're going to come to you because they already know people in the industry. Doris, it looks like we're already over just a minute, so why don't we do this if we could? Let's talk about the next step, guys, what you need to do.
Yes.
How about this one, Doris?
Watch for a link to the recorded session, and it's actually the same link that you have, but we're going to send you another one so that you can click on it and view this session. Watch the recording and ensure you create a plan for identifying and connecting with the superstars. Start drafting that plan, you guys. You got to have it in writing. You can use the GoToWebinar link you used today for the remaining module as well.
You sure can. And then lastly, don't forget, guys and gals, we're here to help you in any way that we can. All that you need to do is reach out to us. You can call the 800 number, 800-204-3548, or you can send us an email to contact@eliteworldwide.com. Doris and I are going to be in the office for the balance of the day, a specific time for those of you that are in different time zones. Right now it's 10:37 for us. We're both going to be in the office the rest of the day, and I know that both of us have a number of tasks on hand. But if you do call, and if we're available, we'll certainly help you in any way that we can. If we're not available, then Sarah will certainly take a message and we'll get back to you just as soon as we possibly can. So thanks again for joining us, and thanks to the good people at Jasper as well, huh, Doris?
Oh, man, yeah. Thanks so much for giving us your time. To the audience in Jasper, you guys are amazing.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
You really are. Thanks so much for joining us, guys.
See you guys next week.
Thanks.
Same
See you next
same
week.
channel.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye.